welcome back to Mid-Spring Speedfling 2022. Thank you so much for bearing with us. We are ready to go with Valkyria Chronicles and AlexisGoesMoo. So, Alexis, whenever you are ready, it is all you.
Alright. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Valkyria Chronicles New Game Plus. So, just to start off, the file isn't actually going to be a New Game Plus file. It's going to start with the units already pre-screened. This is done for both runs and marathons because otherwise you have to reset a lot because we're going to need very specific units to complete all the strats in this game. And alright, so let me do a countdown.
Go for it.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so here's the units that I was talking about. We're going to do our only menu of the run right at the start, and I have it set up that I'll have the least amount of menuing to select the correct units for the speedrun. So we're going to get those 2 shock troopers, these 2 lancers, that sniper. We also got a scout. And now we're gonna equip them with some weapons that I got. Story units come pre-equipped, so we don't have to equip them, but non-story units you have to equip at the start. So let's take this 10 seconds. I'll explain why for all the specific weapons when we get there. Some of them are really unique things, and I'm happy to get used in my run. Because getting like things unlocked in this game take hours, and so these strats are like only possible for New Game Plus. Like,
Yes, it does. Yeah, no, you're expected to do lots of side battles and other stuff to get these things you need otherwise. Hey, speaking of, when is the choice for the language? Do you need to know that information now?
I already looked and I changed it to Japanese.
Got it. Okay, I don't have my audio on here, so thank you for checking for us.
Alright, and that's actually one slight unfortunate thing. Japanese is like 15 seconds slower actually, but not too significant. It's because the voice clips when we select our characters. And anyway, we're using Welkin because he has the S20 equipped. It's the most accurate rifle, and it will allow him to basically guarantee win with body shots. Some brief, like, background on how Valkyria Chronicles works. There's the action mode where you can run around and it's real time, and then there's aim mode where when you hit it, it turns into a turn-based game. You have all the time you want to go around shoot. Alright, that's prologue.
It's essentially like an AP system from a lot of other tactical RPGs as far as your movement, but it's actually literally just based on like how far your character moves in 3D space, including like if you were the kind of thing that you might do in a casual run is accidentally run up against a barrier, like trying to better position yourself, and that takes up your movement. So
yeah,
it can be very technical to move in just the way you want to get all your characters aligned for things like flanking.
There's going to be a few missions where if I did make a mistake, it would basically end the run, because when you select the unit again, it didn't really matter for that mission. You get less AP, it's a 33% decline. So anyway, this is chapter 1. We're going to choose Vulcan again, because the S20. We have to kill a leader this time, and they're crouching, so there's a chance that I might not get this kill. Alright, we didn't get it. Missed 2 bullets. A little unfortunate. So they're going to fire back, and let's shoot them again. I haven't heard the Japanese voices in quite some time. It was found that they were faster, I think, 2020. It's when you select the character, so you'll hear it when I select Vulcan next time, and then like the clips that they choose, it's like not that much, it's like frames though. So anyway, the goal of that mission was to kill that leader, but when you do that, they come in with an enemy tank. And then the goal now will be to escape from this tank. As this tank is a little special, and we're not going to be able to kill it even in New Game Plus. Not for a while, anyway.
Yeah, its weak points in the light just aren't active right now, something like that.
Yeah, this tank is very unique in that most tanks is a 10x multiplier, but this one is a 1.5 multiplier. So sadly, we won't be able to skip it in the next mission. We'll actually have to wait a bit. Early game has some of the only enemy turns in the run, actually, is this one in Chapter 2. Anyway, the next goal is move Valkyria to the end, and we just walk across and he'll get there. Pretty straightforward missions for the tutorial ones. Up until all the units we selected aren't gonna matter until Chapter 3, as technically you're not supposed to be able to go to HQ until Chapter 3. So for now, we'll be stuck with story units only. Alright, so for the story, the Empire just invaded Gallia, and the town of Brol is being attacked by a tank. Vulcan is on his way to get his own tank that he has in his garage, but we have to wait till it arrives because it lets us use something called orders, which I'll get there eventually. Alright, that was nice of Alicia. So I'm just gonna park Alicia here, because the AI, their goal is to destroy that gate that's at the bottom of the map. And so every unit is just gonna constantly run to that gate, and they're gonna run right into Alicia. And she has a different weapon than Vulcan. It's called the ZM-Car9. It's the most powerful rifle in the game. It's really inaccurate, but she's gonna, you'll see very soon after this scout, it can one-shot every single one of these enemies, except for shock troopers, where it takes 2 shots.
Yeah, and since they're in close quarters and everyone's going to come by to say hi, she's gonna have plenty of opportunities.
Oh, another thing to note, so because this is on PS4, this is the fastest version, but anytime you see, like, shuffle or vroom vroom, that's actually slower on PS4. Thankfully, since we don't play enemy turns much, it doesn't make as much of a difference. Right,
is that to say those effects happen slower, or the, like, simulation of the enemy's turn actually happens slower?
The simulation of the enemy turns is a little bit slower. It made up to like a minute of a difference in one mission in New Game until we started doing it in one turn. Alright, so we just have to see what the Hill Scout's gonna do. There's a lot of RNG with this unit in both New Game and New Game Plus, but I think I just got the standard RNG. Depends on how quickly this scout kills them. Alright, one more unit, and we'll be able to go and use orders, because you're intended on using the tank to destroy, but the tank is very far away, and with orders we can actually get this kill to work. Orders are basically the buffs of these game, and I have all of them unlocked. So we're going to do a lot of damage with penetration. It will ignore defense, and we also park Alicia not only to be a funnel for all the enemies, but she's now right behind the enemy tank. It's just a very convenient route. Alright, hopefully we get all the shots. Alright, first one now. You can avoid shooting the weak point if you get, like, lucky.
Does New Game Plus also give you more action points per turn, or is that a feature?
We don't have any more action points. We have the same amount.
Okay.
So some of these are going to be like CP perfect later on, actually. Not the earlier missions, but a lot of these are like really tight, especially Chapter 14, because doing that in one turn is very, very luck-based and precise.
Yeah, I imagine so. You know, these buffs use those same action points that you use to move characters around, so typically you kind of think of it as a trade-off between the two, but it sounds like things have been, you know, mathed out and strategized to the point where you're using both of those as, like, a completely known resource. You know exactly how much you have of one versus the other. Alright.
And now we get to go and use our post-tutorial units, so we're going to use the units that I selected, and this is Mavil. We're going to be using him for everything as over Alicia, because Alicia's the best scout in the game, but that's actually pretty bad for New Game Plus, because he has a lot of potentials. We didn't see any in the early missions, but anytime she gets one of those, it's 2.5 to 3 seconds, and in case of one of hers, is 4 seconds. But Maville is like perfect, and that he just doesn't have any that are negative. We're gonna respect this. Alright, let's see if I get this double kill. Oh wow, that went really fast. One thing to note about double kills in this game, they're not as powerful as they look, as you have to wait until an enemy's dead until like they'll be able to hurt another one. So it's very important to get things done in one shot. That's the first flag capturing mission. That's how most of these games are gonna work for the early game. And whenever we have to capture the flag, we can basically ignore the whole map and focus only on the objective. It's one of the reasons that this game is really, really speedrun friendly.
Yeah. At least in New Game Plus when you have the right units. To circle back on something for a minute, just in case anyone's less familiar with this game, potentials are another, they're character-specific buffs and debuffs that are supposed to be kind of a camaraderie thing between your units. Like some characters have a number of potentials built in when they join your squad. Things like, you know, they're a country boy. They're like more comfortable being on grass terrain, and when they're in a city, they won't get those buffs and things like that. And then other ones develop over the course of playing with those characters. But obviously, since we're in New Game Plus, we were able to select exactly the units we want, and Alexis is using them to their potential, and like she was said earlier, using Mayville specifically because he doesn't have any negative potentials that come up.
Yep. All right. Anyway, we made a shortcut, and I'm gonna hopefully have this shot trigger help me. And the base is right over there. I'm actually gonna stop moving a little early to avoid a potential. There's a really good one that Maville has, but if I were to get it at this point, that was almost bad. If I were to get it at this point, it would actually just be wasting time, because this is actually kind of a scary mission. Maville has a good amount of health. He has, like, really high health, but if those units are there, I'm going to take way more damage. So we're going to use mortar support just to kind of make things a little more simple. There's an old strat that involved Alicia here that's faster, but almost all the times it fails. We'll see Alicia soon, like 2 missions from that, because we sadly can't just use Maville for anything, because I said he doesn't have any bad potentials, but he actually has one, and he's allergic to deserts. And there's exactly one desert map that we have to use in Chapter 6. But we would use Alicia anyway. It will make sense when we get there, because it's a kind of a scary mission to do without any defense boosting. Alright, Chapter 5. We're gonna go and use Maville for this one again, just to avoid bad potentials, but I am going to use a defensive order. And while this is New Game Plus, and we have max armor and max level, so we have a lot more health and defense, this mission is actually, like, we'll almost die, even with the defensive order in New Game Plus, so it's rather important. This is going to go and set the amount of damage the enemies can do, so now they're, like, all bullets will be like, I think it's like 1 for those small arms and like 2 or 3 for other weapons.
That's a heck of a trade-off for a single action point. Is that because of the point in the game that you're at and the kinds of armaments that the enemies have access to, or is that just how powerful the defense boost is?
It's not as good as a defense boost is. This is, we also use defense boost in, New Game for this. Although it looks like I'm not taking much damage right now, there's going to be an enemy tank that's a boss that spawns, and I'm going to run, like, right in the range of fire. So I'm going to go from, like, over 200 HP to under 100. Alright, no double movement. Hopefully we'll see it soon. If I were to get double movement in this, it's a potential that fills your AP bar completely. And we're going to need it for the bigger missions, but for this early stuff, it's mostly optional. Alright, hopefully this double kills. Nice. And And like I mentioned earlier, the goal is basically to get to a base and then just clear it. We don't have to engage the boss for this mission.
Okay.
That leader is actually really hard in other categories because they're crouching, but ZM-Car 9 kind of can just take them out. No problem. And yeah, they're just gonna retreat because you actually don't have to fight the boss, thankfully. In New Game, that would be a really hard fight because we don't have a rifle that can destroy tanks until much later in the game. Anyways, time for Chapter 6. This is one of my favorite missions in the game. It's also like really just a good showcase of how Valkyria Chronicles speedrunning works. There's a huge desert map with a whole bunch of enemies, but we're just gonna run in a straight line with Alicia. We need her because, as bad as her potentials are, to do this without defense boost, we kinda need them. Like, there's actually a chance I'll die if she doesn't, but I promise she will get them. Alicia has never let me down with wasting time.
Well, that's an ominous way to phrase that right before we get to see what happens, but I believe in her.
Alright, so resist crossfire, the way it works is every time someone starts shooting, it's going to be a 10% chance to get it. So she's going to run past a whole bunch of enemies, and there's a very good chance. Alright, yeah. That's what I thought, Alicia. She got it at a decent time, though. If she gets it late, we'll lose just a bunch of HP for no reason. Alright, that's the first action. HP's looking pretty nice. And when I get here, it's going to get a little safer, because there's going to be a sandstorm that just suddenly comes, and Vulcan studies nature, but he somehow doesn't know what sandstorms are. I'm rather confused by that still, but anyway, it's going to reduce the amount of damage we take, but wait. Oh my gosh, did she not get a potential? My HP is really low right now, and there's a 40% chance to activate something called Valkyria, and she's below half HP, but she somehow didn't do it. We will see Valkyria later, though. It's, basically guaranteed, but she somehow was really nice that time. Anyway, we kill that, shock trooper, then we clear the base, and just ignore the whole map. That is, like, really good luck. I'm actually, like, kind of in shock by that.
Nice. Congratulations. And as we all know, by the Geneva Conventions, once you take the enemy's base, the fighting is done. They're not allowed to continue fighting, so.
Yeah. If you just go and capture the flag, everyone has to surrender. It's just how war works. But this is actually going to be a long one, and the next one too, because we can't capture the flag to win. Oh no, we have to actually play missions. So yeah, this is Chapter 7. It's really infamous casually, and in speedrun as well. But Medium Plus is the least awful version of this mission, because we get to do a really big sequence break, and it's a little more consistent than the new game version of it. So those are our main antagonists, Maximilian and Salvaria. We won't be seeing Salvaria in this run, but we will see Maximilian. Alright. This is Axel, Alex. I always mix his name up for some reason. He's equipped with a different weapon, ZM-MP-X3. This is one of the DLC weapons for the base game on PS3. And it's really powerful, but really, really inaccurate. So he's only going to have limited uses in the run. In fact, he's actually only in this mission and the last mission. But it's going to make a big difference the missions he's used in. And sadly, Lancers have mortar resist, so they're going to live. So hopefully, I can get 2 out of 25, right? And we're killing all these enemies because this is one of those missions where we have to wait for the enemy turns. And the enemy would move around every single one of their CP if they were to be alive. So just killing them just makes it all faster.
Yeah.
so you just have to watch the buttons move. I did try to test a strat a long time ago to use smoke rounds with Vulcan to make these enemy turns faster, but sadly if you do that, Maximilian just stays still forever. It's kind of funny. Alright, so unfortunately Maximilian used an order. It's just a 50-50 whether he does it or not, and it loses like 10 seconds, but it's not a big deal. Alright, Vulcan's gonna get really mad because they run over our camps. I've always found that to be a funny scene. I don't know why he's so upset about it. But yeah, Maximilian's win state is that he runs over all of our camps. But this is gonna be the last enemy turn, and then we're actually gonna go and win on this one. Alright, wow, only one order. That's actually rather nice of him. So once he fires, the radiators are open, and we're gonna go and take them down all at the same time, so we can do a sequence right here. Because if you kill one of them, he closes the others. So then you're kind of gonna have to wait for an auto-scroller.
Right.
So it's important to use the M01R, because that has just enough damage to get this down, but not kill them. We're also helped by a potential called Ultimate Anti-Armor. It boosts our anti-tank power by a little bit, and ultimate potentials are really nice because they don't waste any time, and they're 100% to activate. We're going to be using a lot of these throughout the run. Alex actually kind of leads well. Alright, last one's coming. Then after this, I'm going to use a new order called Demolition Boost. That increases anti-tank power, and then Vulcan is going to finish off the tank. Alright, we only got one potential there. That's not too bad. I haven't heard the Japanese orders in like a year.
Well, thank you for the Japanese restreams for making that part of today's run. Even if it's putting us a little bit off, that's still the generosity of your donations to make that choice made a difference to Save the Music Foundation, and we appreciate it. Yep, and there you go. The splash damage to take out all the targets at the same time.
Yep, and now all the cutscenes are gonna play at once, and
of course they are.
Valkyria is here. We're not gonna see her at any point in this run, but she came with like a whole bunch of reinforcements, and if we had to go just to even turn 5, it'd be 2 minutes of waiting, because she has so many units. Alright,
there she is.
Had to get a potential. And this is going to be a 4 turn, but normally this is supposed to take 9 turns minimum for an A rank. So it's a really big time save. I think this is like a 5-ish minute chapter compared to 14 minutes. Nice job, Audrey. Alright, and yeah, we have to actually do phase 2, which is just... She is the most powerful anti-tank lance in the game, so it's only gonna take 2 turns. Alright, and that is chapter 7.
Very solidly executed.
Alright, then we do have a long mission as the next one actually as well, because what happens is Vulcan and Alicia get hit by a mortar, and they get separated by everyone. So now we're in a forest in the middle of the night, and it's gonna be like a sneaky mission. And it's sadly gonna be one that because Alicia, she, we'll see when we get there, but she hurt her ankle. So she's gonna have reduced movement, both her AP and her movement speed. So it's gonna take a little while to beat it. Hello, mortars. I always like the sound they make. Alright, so to start, we're gonna lead off with Alicia. And as you can see, her AP is very low, and she moves very slowly. So we're gonna have to find some ways to work around it as we do this mission. That's a landmine. Don't step on it. Alright, so here's the first unit. I'm gonna hopefully line up headshots. Nice. We're just gonna take out some units to reduce the length of the enemy turns. Same as we did in 7. Alright, end turn. Then we're gonna go and park her in front of this tree. It's gonna be important for Vulcan because we need to get her in a position so we can activate something. Alright. Now we're gonna go to Vulcan. He didn't get his ankle injured, so he has full HP and full AP and full movement speed. So we're gonna be like getting Vulcan to the position way faster than Alicia. But the mission goal is both of them have to get to the end of the map. Alright, so I'm gonna go here, and we can talk through the wall, because the trigger for this is really, really big. And that's gonna go and increase Alicia's movement by a teeny bit. There's some more on the map, but that's really the only one we need to go and get the 3 or 4 turn. Depends on what kind of luck I get. And hopefully I did this correct, because this is actually like a position manip. I'll know in a few seconds if I got it right.
When you say manip, does that mean by having the characters where you do, it changes how the enemies move around?
Yes, and we did get it correctly. If I'm a teeny bit too forward or too back, this entire mission, I honestly would be in a very bad spot. In New Game Plus, we can kind of work around it, but it would take like an extra minute or so. So it's a good thing I got it. So anyway, this is going to introduce the stealth part of this mission. There are some searchlights, and we don't want to get caught by them, because if you're caught by them, not only do they lose time with their animation, but we also have a mortar fall down on us. So I'm going to wait and go. And then we're going to do the same thing for the next one. Alright, and I'm going to have to safety save for the first time here, because if I were to get bad luck with this upcoming grenade throw, it would make it a lot harder for Alicia to get through here, because he's not as fast as Vulcan. So, there's a scout, with a throw grenade, and hopefully they will die. Alright, nice. That scout is not only to make the enemy turns faster, but they give that shock trooper vision, and they are very powerful. Alright, time for Alicia. She's gonna only do one action this turn, but next turn she's gonna go and play the whole time. Vulcan's actually already towards the end of the map, and we're just gonna welcome that mine. It's the only way she can make the cycle. And fun fact, she can activate Valkyria by that, because mines count for activation on Valkyria, and that's always going to take us below half HP. Thankfully, she's been really cooperative so far. Alright, spoke too soon. So you can get double movement on either that action or one of the next actions. And if she gets that, I'll do a 3-turn strat. And if she doesn't, I'll do a 4-turn strat. So, it's up to this action. Alright, there's a potential. And we're gonna go in once again. I think I did mention this, but we use the tree to block that character off. Because if they see us, they would, even in New Game Plus, Alicia would probably die. Alright, no double movement. No big deal. We could technically try for it on this action, but then if I didn't get it here, I just would be leaving my units in an awful position and to be slower. So instead I'm going to go and get her right up to Welkin, but not too close so Welkin can't move. I've actually had that happen before, and it's not good. And then I'm going to end turn, and then next turn we'll go and walk both of them to the end. And yeah, killing that scout makes these enemy turns instant, which is really nice. Alright, and the searchlights don't matter anymore because they lose a little time, but it's faster not to wait for them, and there's no more mortars to worry about. There's Welkin. And there's 3 mortars that are, like, all there. And then Alicia, she's gonna take a little while. I think this is like 30 or so seconds, but you'll get there. Alright. If I did this correctly, I think I got it. I'll actually just... There, the movement was perfect. I actually avoided that as Alicia. So that's good. Alright, and this is the first 2-part mission, so that's only 8-1. I actually have not finished Chapter 8 yet. I need to go and do 8-2. So I'm going to tap to the right. So the best thing about New Game Plus, by the way, is normally you have to watch and skip every single cutscene, but in this category, we only have to skip 1 cutscene each chapter. Alright, and those units I deployed, I'm only going to be using Reveal, but I deployed Rosie and Largo because they are leaders. And that means that they're going to give us extra CP, and the strat I do for this is CP perfect, so it's very, very important. Excuse me. So anyway, we met up with the squad again, but Welkin is on the other side of the map. And for some reason they just can't use the tank without him, so the beginning of the mission is going to be getting Welkin to the tank.
I mean, it is his tank after all, isn't it? It feels like it's everyone is respectful of the chain of command, such as it were.
Alright, and we used to landmine boost here, but it's actually slower. So we're just going to walk past them. Alright, so 1 more turn and Welkin will get back to it. Alright, since this is CP perfect, I'm gonna start with a safety save, just in case. And then there is a castle wall that's just, for some reason, in this forest, and it is unfortunately only attackable by a tank. Like, even if I use the most powerful lancer, it will do no damage. So I have to shoot this wall twice, and then we'll be able to move on to the next part, which is back to capture flags. And I'm once again gonna safety save, because I only have 1 CP left. Which means if I were to either mess up or get bad luck here, I'm basically going to have to wait for a 3-minute enemy turn. I move the tank forward just enough to cover Reveal so he doesn't die here, but it doesn't matter if we get attacked down, because ZMCAR9 is very strong, and if I get a headshot, I'll be able to get a hit. Alright, we're good. If that enemy were to dodge, which is like when they duck, which hopefully we just never see in this run, then I just would have to reload it. Dodges are like really, really bad in Valkyria Chronicles, because a lot of our strats are CP perfect, or we have to move after we shoot. So if you ever get a dodge in any of the speedruns, you basically have to reload or hope a backup is available for that mission. Hopefully we just don't see any dodges this turn though. Anyways, this mission's a little bit of a unique one. Chapter 9, the enemy gets to go first. The story of this is there's the Princess of Valia. She got kidnapped, and she's in an APC. So we have to go and disable the APC without killing her, which means no Lancers or tanks. Normally, we use a Scout, in the old New Game Plus draft and a Shock Trooper in New Game. But for this, we're going to use a sniper because we have a really, really cool sniper rifle called the Anti-Tank Sniper Rifle. And it is super high anti-armor. So alright, APC is going to go vroom vroom for a little bit, and it's going to stop in like the perfect position to one turn this. Time to use Marina. So he's a really good sniper because he has ultimate accuracy, which means the gun is now a clunker. So normally like there's luck involved when you shoot stuff, but this is just 100% always gonna work. And yeah, the anti-tank rifle is really good because it just one-shot the APC, and we didn't have to move towards it, so we did to avoid using defensive orders. Because that APC actually will like tear units apart within seconds if I was like even remotely close to it. So it's really convenient that we can snipe it. We used to have to like use a defensive order and then like move close but not too close, but using a sniper makes it so much more simple. Alright, so we kind of used the tank before the launch of order, but this is going to be the first actual tank mission of the game. It's a little bit middle of the game, but yeah, we actually have to use the tank now. So the tank is very slow moving, and it's even slower moving on PC for some reason. I still don't really know why, but we have to get it to the end of the map. So we're just gonna leave Alicia there for spare CP and to protect our base, because if these units, if I were to say not this kill, it'd be very bad because they're scouts, and they're right next to my base. So they would capture the base, and I would get a game over. And this mission is CP perfect on normal strats. So it's very important as a backup for Alicia to be there. Thankfully the scouts were nice though, and they just went down to one shot. Alright, one more turn, and this is again, we're just killing enemies to make enemy phases faster. Actually, the position for this is like more important than I act like it is, because if I were to move too forward, there's a chance he would hit my treads, which would be like super bad, because there's tank HP and there's tread HP. If your treads are gone, you cannot move. Like, you can only like move like a teeny bit every time, and then you need to get the engineer to repair it. But thankfully, if my position's correctly, this tank will not be able to hit my treads. Alright, we're good. You have to kind of like burn some movement to make sure you don't move too good on phase 1 turn 1, because otherwise you're gonna go and lose your treads. And I'm gonna avoid these searchlights and get ready for a double kill. There's a shock trooper there, and there's gonna be another one that's behind the house. Right at that lamppost, and we're gonna aim towards the middle. Hopefully this will work. Alright, nice. Those ones aren't as dangerous as the units in the beginning. They wouldn't be able to capture my base, but it's just a little faster to take them out. Anyway, so we're gonna have to go and eat some of the searchlights. They can't really hurt the tank anyway. And we're gonna go right up to this tank. And we're gonna shoot it once. And then next turn, we're gonna shoot the tank one more time, and then end turn. It might seem a little slow, waiting, letting the enemy attack instead of like either hiding behind smoke rounds or like positioning yourselves to not be seen, but it actually turned out that it's faster to do it like this, just barely, because even the enemy turns are like a little long, but if I didn't wait through them, they would be shuffling, which is really slow on PS4. And even if you use a smoke round here, they still move, sadly. Alright, and Lancer also cooperated. They technically did my trends. But I haven't seen that in like a very long time. Alright, turn 3. this will be our last turn. It's going to be very similar to turn 2. There's going to be a bridge, and there's going to be a tank that's blocking our way, and we're going to take it out in 2 shots. So here's our tank, and I'm going to just take this landmine. It's not a big deal. There's one. We're going to move and take out the other one. One thing to note is that there's a Lancer, and if I were to knock that Lancer into the void, that's not going to kill them. Instead, it's going to slow the game down a bunch, and they're going to respawn. So, hopefully that doesn't happen. Alright, what's the... Yeah, to the left is fine. To the right is the blade. Alright, then 2 more actions, and we will go and get welcome to the end. And this is going to be like how 8 was. There's actually 10-1 and 10-2. So 10-1 was getting Welkin to cross the map, and 10-2 is going to be a boss fight with an armored train. And this is going to be the beginning of double movement and awaken potential missions. So we might be here a while. I messed up the deployment there, but we're good. So, there's an armored train, and we cannot attack it. But, we're gonna instead destroy a bomb that's below it. I actually did the faster. So, this usually isn't the menu I do for this, but this is actually faster in terms of, like, stuff. So anyway, before we can fight the train, we have to go and take out this bridge. And we're gonna again use the anti-tank sniper and ultimate accuracy to do it. Before we had to use a damage boost, which is like a weaker version of demolition boost to get that. But now we can actually, with the anti-tank rifle, just take it out in 1 shot. Alright. And now that we did that, they're gonna go and open the lifts, and that means that we can get to the end goal, which is the, like, high up mountain that's near the, train. And we're gonna use a different order that we haven't used before. It's gonna be called Awaken Potential. It's gonna increase the chances of potentials by, I actually still do not know, but I know it's a lot, so hopefully we gonna get potentials here. Because this map is very hard to in-turn, because it requires not 1, but 2 double movements, and I have 5 actions to get it. And I also have to do some HP, so... Alright, good. So we want to give Resist Crossfire, because she's going to be running through a whole bunch of stuff, and I didn't use any defensive orders. Alright, no double movement the first time. Oh, good. I'll safely save if we don't get it on this action. Alright, there's the first one. So that's one, and as you can see, my AP is completely full, even if I were to have done it from empty. And very good we got Resist Crossfire there, because if you don't, you may just die. I mean, you'll probably get it because like potential, but it's actually super scary sometimes. Alright, this is going to be right in front of these enemies, and hopefully one more action. There's Resist Crossfire, and now all we need is double movement. And hello, Valkyria. I believe that's the first time in the run.
It is.
Alright, nice. We did it. That's only I think 1 extra. That's actually really good luck. So then we're gonna activate the lift, and we're gonna destroy the bomb, and then the train will fall into the ravine. Alright, good. We got untouchable shots. Very important because, you know, maybe the bomb will start to learn how to run away someday. And yes, you can activate that potential at any point. It's really useful to get undodgeable shots if, like, the enemy can dodge, but yeah, the bomb kind of just stays still. So anyway, that's the train boss fight, and the bomb destroys the bridge, and then the train falls in. Alright, so that's 10-2, and onwards to 11. This is going to be one of the other harder missions in the run, even for New Game Plus, because HP management here can be really, really tricky. Basically, Alicia's going to storm a beach single-handedly, and there's these invincible Gatling guns that do a lot of damage to her. So I'm actually going to deploy some extra units for CP just to reduce the chances of me saving or loading for a bunch. Because we only have 4 CP to do 2 actions. I only need double movement once on this one though. So it's not as restrictive as the last mission. We also have very little CP because we're going to use a whole bunch of orders here. Nope. That would have been bad. I don't usually deploy the backup CP. Alright. So first we're going to use defense boost, which we used a long time ago. And then we're going to also use Awakened Potential. That's because, if I didn't explain this, Resist Crossfire is basically another defense boost, and they stack. So I have 2 defensive orders. And then we're going to use a new order, Attack Weak Spot. This is a really niche order that's only useful for a specific kill in 11, but if it weren't for this would be a really hard mission. Alright, so we're going to select Alicia, switch to healing. I'm try to avoid that gunner position. It's a little trickier in this category because of this. That kind of like makes it. Oh wow, I got it. Yeah, it's a little harder to get the position for that to avoid being shot at all in New Game Plus because like it still counts as moving when you're getting resist crossfire. And we already got a couple movement. That's a really good start. I technically can do this without healing. I did get good HP for it, but that's a really risky strat. So instead of doing the risky strat at a minimum, when I get around Valkyria range, I am gonna heal. Because we have 2 more towers. I mean, Gatling towers to avoid. So we're gonna stop right before Valkyria. And I'm gonna get a cutscene because Vulcan's excited that we cleared the beach, even though we're almost at the enemy base. And I have to save here because I'm right in front of these 2 like invincible Gatling guns, and if I don't get resist crossfire when I select Alicia,
right?
Alright, we got it. But if I didn't get that, she would die like immediately. So, anyways, this is when we use attack beats. We got attack down because every shock trooper here gives us that. And then, that's a crouching shock trooper. We need to get a double kill here. So, if we didn't use attack weak spots, we would not be able to get that double kill. Alright, and that is chapter 11. Onward still, a bit of an easier one next time is chapter 12. We're going to be using not Alicia, because we're going to actually go back to Maville for a bit, because same reason we used him in some of the early game missions. Maville has no negative potentials outside of being allergic to a desert. And this is actually going to be the map from chapter 2 and 1, if anyone remembers that. Although it's like the expanded version of both of them combined. So we're going to be taking back our hometown that we lost in the very beginning. And this is similar to chapter 5. I'm using the Veal, and then I'm going to use defense boost, and we're going to run across the map. There is an Alicia strat here, but it consists of getting resist crossfire, which is a 10% chance. So, not the safest shot to do. Alright, so we're gonna run around here. And then this is the reason that this is such a scary mission without defense boost, is does a lot of damage in this action and then a little bit here. But with defense boost, we are all good. So now we're gonna have to clear this space, and it's a little scary because that's an ace unit, which has really high dodge rates, but thankfully they're a sniper, so they don't turn around, which means they'll never dodge. If that was any other type of unit, this mission would be very complicated. But the game was very nice, and they put a sniper. One more unit, the weak point is the operator, and CMCR9 is good enough anti-armor to keep that kill. And that is chapter 12. So the next 2 missions of the run are going to be like the most risky, so hopefully they go well. So we're gonna go and get through book mode and enter chapter 13. So this mission is unique in that we can't use orders because Vulcan is not able to move because there's a big rocket field. And that means this is a little more dangerous than most missions, because usually we can just use defensive orders and negate most of the damage, but we won't be able to do that until we don't need it anymore. And I have to use Alicia for height-related stuff. It's not usually a thing in this game, but if I don't have the right height, I won't be able to get this grenade off. Alright, that was a really inaccurate rifle. Okay, at least he got one off. That would only matter if I got hit a lot more. And all I'd have to do is do action field, so no big deal. Alright, and since we're doing this in 2 turns, I'm gonna have to take out this shock trooper because they're right where I want to end turn. Here, and then on turn 2 we will win. This has a 1 turn, by the way, but it consists of getting 2 individual 10% chances. So
you double movements.
Yeah. Now it's time for a safety save. Alright, so I'm gonna use a Ragnade, not to heal, but to use it to position this. So I'm gonna put like here, and then I move all the way up and tap down twice. And assuming my inputs were good, alright, looks like we got it. So we'll see, yes. So the reason that's important is if both of those units shoot at you, you will die. Even in New Game Plus, unless you resist crossfire. And by launching from that corner, the right-facing shock trooper will look in the way direction you shoot, because that's how enemies work. So that means that they won't see us when we go around. So only one will see us, so we won't die here. And that went really nice. Alicia didn't even get resist crossfire. Nice. So now we're gonna move her up. And we're gonna stop right here. And I'm gonna try to do something. I'm gonna try to see this. We're gonna use a Vulcan. And I'm gonna go and aim right here. Oh wow. Good job, Vulcan. I did a little practice of that earlier, and he was missing it every time, but he actually cooperated that time. So now we can just walk in with Alicia and grab the base. So that was one of the missions that went well. let's hope 14 goes just as well. Although this one's actually one of my favorites in New Game Plus, because when I first picked up this category, we did the exact same kill as New Game. So it's a 2-turn that involves a lot of sitting around and waiting. But there is a way to 1-turn it with a lot of luck, and it's kind of cool looking too. So first we're going to deploy Mobile because, as you're going to see, Alicia is a Valkyria. And because of that, she is not playable for this mission. So we need a double movement. This is like the actual reason we need a double movement scout that isn't Alicia. Otherwise, there would not be a solution to this mission. So here's Alicia. I like this part because I get this is the closest in base game you get to play as a Valkyria in C1, and I get to go and scroll the camera. So she's gonna stop. She's gonna shoot there, and then like here. Alright, one more. So we're just gonna wait. She's invincible, by the way, and she's just gonna walk there. So I actually like how the Lance and Show. Kind of wish we could use it from this. Alright. Now it's time to do this in 1 turn. So, it might look easy because, like, the flag is not too far away. But when we capture that flag, it's gonna reveal that we actually fell into a trap. And 2 boss tanks are gonna spawn. And, those boss tanks are on completely different ends of the map, and are some of the most defensive units in the game. So we gotta go and find a way to kill one with a scout, and then one with our lancer that we deployed. And I'm gonna safety save right here, because I need 1 double movement for this to work.
Got it. Not again. So it's not only CP perfect, but you need that activation. Hence all the preparation in advance.
Yeah, and this is just the first part because I need to grenade launch myself off the cliff, and it can be finicky sometimes.
You know, that sounds like it should be.
Yeah. I remember trying this with a female scout, and it turns out the position works differently because of like models. So when I tried to do it, it went very poorly at first.
Oh dear. There's your double movement. So that's good.
Yeah, it's really good to get double movement on the first action too, because now I'm gonna have 1 spare CP for the next tank, assuming I get good here. Which doesn't mean we have to. We're not out of it yet though, but it does make it a little less likely they'll have to save more load for the lancer sniping. Alright, and here's the ambush I mentioned. I do not want to retreat. I'm gonna move the camera around, and hopefully this works. Well, I certainly graded myself. Alright, we are... Oh, actually, there's a shock trooper there, and if I were to, like, mess up movement and move towards them, I would die very quickly. But yeah, we did get off the ledge correctly. So that's part 1. Alright, and the weak point is here, and we have to fire it 3 times. I technically could do a body shot for the final round, but just for the sake of accuracy, I'm going to shoot it 3 times. Don't want to lose the CP advantage that I got. Alright, that's 1 tank, and then the other one is back off to the right from where we spawn. So Audrey has that really powerful lance that I mentioned. And she's gonna go and hopefully get a kill in 2 hits. But Lancers are not accurate. And this is also off the map. Alright, there's the first one. Nice. She did it.
Yeah, see, as Shaq might say, those shots were from downtown, but everything went well.
Yeah, that was a really good luck for both 13 and 14. From here on out, things should be like quite a bit more smooth sailing because I'm gonna be doing safety strats. Anyway, that's Faldio. So he's like Vulcan's kind of rival and ally during this, and they got into a fight because he's the one who shot Alicia and made her activate her Valkyria form, but Faldio is only in cutscenes and not gameplay, so we never really get to see him. So anyway, we got Alicia back after 14, and she's all good. And so we'll be using her for this mission. This is going to be the last scout mission of the entire run. Alright, here we go. So the mission of this objective here is to grab the 3, I can't remember the switches, right. There's 3 switches, I don't know why I had trouble remembering that. And then we'll let a train go through, and that will block our way. You don't have the defense boost here, but for marathon safety, I'm going to. Because, if you don't do that, and right when I stopped Alicia, if, I don't get resist crossfire, and I didn't use defense boost, I'm dead, like, right away. But see, we got it, but, like, if I didn't, that shock trooper, if they don't kill me, that will kill me very quickly. Alright, so here's the first switch. And, one thing to note is I'm doing this in 1 turn, and we do need double movement, but we need it once. And I have, like, a whole bunch of tries for it, so I'm not even gonna, like, bother. I promise we will get double movement. But hopefully we get it later, because I actually want to see the cutscene where they explain how ladders work. Alright, oh, we need to get a see it. We're supposed to do a position manip to avoid this, but I actually just want to get the cutscene, because my movement won't work for it anyway, because I need to get double movement. You just stop right here, but instead... Alright, we need to see it. I'm happy now. I mean, this is a bit of bad luck, but not anything I can do about it. I just have to keep pressing the button until we get double movement. It's such a long cutscene. Alright.
Yes, ladders, I see.
Well, I actually have the safety safe here? I've never had that happen.
What's that? That we haven't gotten double movement yet?
Yeah, this is really funny. There we go. See, I knew we would get it eventually. I think that might unironically be the record, though, for me not getting double movement in Team 1. So anyway, that's the second switch. And then I'm going to avoid those landmines and get right to the third one. Alright. Here we go. I guess that's where we get off for now, is in 15-1, because this is the last, no, the second to last 2-parter. But the next mission is going to be super, super quick. It's the shortest in the entire run. There's a whole big map with 2 different sides with all different approaches, but we're just going to kill the boss in 1 hit. And, yeah, I never see this level. One really funny thing while I have time to mention it is, for some reason, normally they position your cursor in book mode to be right where the mission is when you beat it. But for some reason, they don't do it for this one. But they do it in New Game. It's really weird. It's not the most significant thing, but I always think about it when doing runs.
Yeah, just one QA check that didn't quite happen the way you expected it to.
Alright. So, we get to use something new. I mentioned it a few times as in some earlier missions on how we can't use it, but this is a smoke round. And we're going to be using it in this and the next mission. What it means is normally you sort of like hide from stuff, but in this case we're going to use it so Solaria, this is actually the closest we get to see her in the run, can't dodge us, because he has a perfect dodge rate from the front. So I'm going to move a little bit forward and a little bit back. I want to aim right for like her sleeve. Alright, nice. The reason is, I don't think I mentioned this one yet as well, but in the PS4 version and just the console versions in general, guns like arc to the left, so you need to like aim slightly to the right to get headshots. But on PC you would just aim like intuitively towards the head. Alright, so time for the longest mission in the game. This is chapter 16. So the Batamies that we fought in chapter 7, that was a prototype for this tank, the Marmoda. The Marmoda is the Batamies, but way, way, way bigger. Like, really, really big. You can kind of see behind us. We'll get some better views on it if the Marmoda's on. We'll have lots of time to look at it.
I feel like we shouldn't be that close to it in our little tank. It seems dangerous.
Alright, so I'm going to move a little bit forward and want to smoke around. That's going to be basically most of this mission, as we need to get to the end goal, but we also need the Marmoda to get to the end goal, so there's not really much of a rush. So that is turn 1. And the Shamrock is kind of just going to get left behind and get run over, but don't worry, they'll respawn.
Oh good, I'm glad it follows the same rules as getting flung into the void.
Yeah, getting ran over by a tank is perfectly okay for him. It's funny because we are also not going to use the Shamrock for the rest of the run. It had its one use, and that was in 15.2. So anyway, this is explaining the objective. It's called diverting the Marmoda, and we divert it by launching our tank rifle, or excuse me, our anti-tank round at these crates. And then there's going to be a landslide, and then the Marmoda has to follow us, because the landslide means it can't go through. Alright, there's the first one, and thankfully in New Game Plus, these are a lot more cooperative. Vulcan has a pretty big tendency to miss these without all the accuracy items equipped. So I'm gonna stop right around here, and tap twice, and nice. Alright, so we're gonna end turn, there's gonna be landslide is imminent. Excuse me, rockside. And then I'm gonna move this back, and end turn. There is like one kind of thing I should mention is I've had 2 times in me playing this game that Lancers see me even though I'm in smoke. That's if there's no sight lines on you, that's not supposed to happen, but it's really rare, although one of those 2 times was in a marathon. So hopefully we don't get to see that again, because that Lancer will just one-shot us. Okay, we're good. And yeah, every single turn, there's going to be 2 mortars, and if they hit the trees, they might slow down the game, and then we have to wait for the Marmoda. That's why a lot of the time of this mission comes from, because it's a lot of cutscenes getting to the end. And they're explaining to us what we already did on the previous turn. Those are good mortars. I don't think they're kind of close to that tree, but it may be alright. So anyway, they've attempted to stop us, and for some reason, I don't really know how anti-tank barricades work, but for some reason we can't just run into those, so we have to go and shoot them instead. I could use the mortar, but it's actually faster animations. Do it like this. Oops. There's actually a reroute for this that I found recently, but It's a bit risky, so I'm not gonna do it this time. Instead, I'm gonna do the old strat, which is just use slow down this turn.
Yeah, if I remember right, the reason the anti-tank obstacles, which I think they call hedgehogs, kind of colloquially, the reason that they're so effective at stopping, small and medium-sized tanks is because, because they have that kind of asterisk or hedgehog type shape. Even if the tank tries to push it over, it'll just flip onto another outstretched
Oh
spike. And it
wow,
can,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, it just
I
kind of
never thought
pushes
about
the
it like
tank
that. That
up, gets
actually
under the
explains
treads.
it. So that makes sense. Speaking of those barricades, we actually have to take down one more. I have to be like somewhat careful at AP. I mean, crit HP. Because yeah, it would be really unfortunate if I somehow messed up the movement. Because otherwise we would be here for a while. So now we're gonna do the same thing. This will be our last time doing this. We're gonna use one more Smith round, and then turn it. After this turn, the Shock Trooper will be run over by the Remoda, and there will be no more units to get on vision on us. Because if I were to not end in smoke, the enemies would see they move like 5 or 6 times, and it takes like on PS4 like a minute, because how slow shuffling is.
Yeah, and how many CP they appear to have because of the Ramada.
Yeah, they have so much. Because yeah, the NAI doesn't have anything to do because like the Ramada doesn't. I don't think it counts as like a unit. It's just like a cutscene, and there's only like a few units to move. Yeah, so there's the mortars. Then turn 5. This is the most exciting turn, I guess, because it's the final turn that we do something in this mission. The rest is just gonna be waiting for the Ramada. So first, I'm just do this crate. And I'm gonna move into a position so that shot can't see. It's like right on that patch of grass. And then we're gonna shoot another crate, and then we wait. And yeah, again, thankfully, because this is New Game Plus, Vulcan can't miss those 2 shots, because he can, in New Game, miss that shot at the very end, which is very tragic that happens.
Yeah, that'd be quite the anticlimax after all this hard work.
Yeah, we're just gonna wait for about a minute and a half or so. But thankfully, after this mission, the next 3 are going to be 1 turns, and they're all really, really nice. So we got like a big auto-scroller, and then the rest of the game is really going to be fast-paced. 17, 18-1, and 18-2. Alright, so let's see, are they in the trees? No trees. So we only got 1 more trees to worry about.
Since we've got that time, just a reminder, the very next run is got a bid incentive going for it, and that'd be Warden Melody of the Undergrowth. You can choose which final boss Jaxler is going to face. And then we also have the Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania run, which has a variety of different incentives, including unlocking that Dark Banana run. We're still looking at just over $100 to get that done. You've got a little bit of time, but if you are ready and able to donate, now would be a fantastic time. So get on it. We look forward to seeing you at donate.midwestspeedfest.com, or you can type !donate in the chat to get that information.
Alright, so we got 1 tree in that turn, then, okay, both trees. And yeah, this is the end. Just need the Remoda to make its way to the goal. And the goal is just to have it run into a big landmine field and have it stop its treads. But this doesn't actually work, and it's gonna get to the capital city anyway. So our plan actually failed, even though it says Operation Complete. We'll deal with their Remoda, but not this mission, but the next. Because first we have to go back to the Chapter 4 mission map, actually. But this time it's during the day, so it looks way, way different. And yeah, we're going to be using Kevin instead of Alex for this, because Kevin has the T-Mag 20. It's more accurate, and more importantly, has way more shots per rounds at 35, and that's going to be our way to kill this boss and the next boss. Because we're going to be facing some really powerful armored enemies. But first, we're going to go and use the best offensive orders in the game, penetration, and demolition boost. Similar to defense boost and resist crossfire, they stack. So this is going to let us get this boss. So that's going to be the boss that we saw in Chapter 5, but we just ignored them. But now we actually are required to fight them. And thankfully it's so much later in the game, because even in New Game we have this. This is actually like, from this point onward, we're just doing the same thing between New Game and New Game Plus, except for the final mission. Because there's not many ways to do this. We go for the arch, and then we're going to move one more time, and then the next time, we're going to open fire. There's one thing that could go really well during this, is Kevin has a potential called double attack, and if he gets it in the right time, you might actually be able to skip a cutscene here. Alright, so we didn't get it that time, but if we get it this time, we'll skip the cutscene, because after we destroy the armor, we get to phase 2, which is destroying the body. So let's see. Alright, no double attack. Not a big deal. And yeah, this is this and the next mission are CP perfect as well, barring getting double attack. We also could get it here, and then we just get a watch a cutscene. Let's see. Alright, Kevin was cooperative. I've had that happen before, where we get like a quadruple attack. Alright, so on to the last mission. It is going to be a two-parter. First one is 18-1, and that's going to be defeating the Marmota, and then the second mission is going to be facing Maximilian. He was the pilot of, well, both the Marmota and the bad enemies that we saw in Chapter 7. Alright, there's always a little bit of lag here, and now let me start it. And yeah, once again we'll be using Kevin, and we'll be deploying all of our leaders, because similar to 17, this is CP perfect. And I'm actually going to be doing a safety save, because the movement for this is really precise, and if I mess up the beginning of it, there is no backup. Excuse me. Alright, so first we're going to do the same orders as last mission. Penetration and demolition boost. Although this time we have to shoot 5 times, so unlike the last mission where we kind of walked and then shot, we're going to have to shoot something on every action. Alright, time to make my save, and then we're going to go head right to the heat sinks. We will see them when we get closer. But yeah, the goal is to destroy the big lance. But first it's protected by a shield. So to get rid of the shield, we have to destroy the 2 heat sinks on the left and right. So hopefully alright, good. So if that's 1 heat sink. And no double attack. Because yeah, we need double attack on every action is given. And then we're going to move right around here, and then up the ramp. And do not start at the Lancer, that would be very bad. And then that's the second heat sink. And I don't think we got double attack. And yep, there goes the shield. And now we can go and attack the Lance, and similar to Jaeger that we fought last mission, this is going to take 3 rounds with T-Mag 20. And just like Jaeger, we can get the double attack proc, and that will actually reduce the delicate actions. We'll see if we get it. And yeah, because we're so far away, this is actually going to take quite a bit more shots than usual. Alright, new double attack. So hopefully we don't get it on this one. Alright, at least we didn't get that one. So now it's time for the very last mission. And I really like this kill has changed like so many times. There's like a million ways to one turn it, but I really like the current plus kill. So hopefully it goes well. So we're gonna deploy Marina and Alex. I got the name right that time. Alright, I actually have to pay attention to the positioning of the debris, so we destroyed the Lance last session. Alright, we got good luck. And it's gonna fall, and if it falls in really unfortunate positions, it will actually block my movement. Because it's completely random where it lands. So first, we're going to be using Marina. The objective of this, before we can take out Maximilian, is to destroy 3 towers. I'm going to safety save a little early, by the way, because I think I got hurt pretty bad. And I need her to take out the other tower, because there's 2 that are really close, and there's one that's super far away. Also, she got a lot of potentials. I don't have to zoom because I have ultimate accuracy, so my sniper rifle is a hunter. So anyways, that's 2 of the towers. Now I'm gonna use penetration.
Yeah, as someone who's experienced with this game is strictly casual, you know, the kind of damage the Marines took there, that's what I'm used to seeing for, you know, most units across the game. It's impressive to see how much the activations of potentials can really change the flow of battle.
Yeah. So really, unfortunately you need to get really far in game. So anyway, I saved, and I'm now going to reload my save, because for some reason doing this, Maximilian does less damage. So it's kind of important to do in a marathon setting. So we're going to take out the last tower. And then I'm going to go up to here and wait out the shots. I don't have to wait as long if I save and reload, but it's still important to do. Alright, and then time is assume this works when Maximilian's HP is at 0. So I'm gonna run up to him, I'm gonna wait till he stops his animation, and hopefully... Alright, that was a really nice main thing to do, aside from some silly potentials. And that is Valkyria Chronicles 1. We're gonna go and jump onto a
Alrighty, well, GG's on the very well executed run. Seemed like the game was cooperative, but also you had everything well planned and well executed.
Yeah, it's
pretty much
really
a lot of
well
hits.
for a marathon.
Do you have anything you want to plug? A community for fans of the series and people who speedrun it?
Yeah, I actually recently made a guide for Valkyria Chronicles game, actually. It's the first, tutorials we've had since 2006, and I've rerouted the game a lot since then. I've been playing this since, 2018, so it's a really good time to get into it. Also, all the games... Oops, I dropped my controller. All the games have actually had a lot of reroutes recently, especially 4, and we actually even have a run for 3 now. 3 didn't have a route
nice.
a year or two ago.
I mean, I'm not surprised given the nature of it and the fact that it never made it out of its home territory.
Yeah, it's also 5.5 hours, I think. It's 5 are the longest in the series.
But yeah, there was some interest in the chat. Even playing it casually, it's really a lot of fun. Like somebody said, Fire Emblem with crazy guns. It's not so far off. It definitely has a lot of interplay with the different units you control in your group, and you get that feeling of camaraderie, even if the flow of combat is a little different from a grid-based game like Fire Emblem.
All right. Thanks for having me. It was really fun to do this run, and I believe the event's now going on in person, so that sounds fun.
It sure is, yeah. So thank you so much for being here and for showing us a good time. And yeah, we're going to just do our last little bits here for the online portion, and then we will be passing over to the folks at VGMCon Live.
ガリア義勇軍第7小隊は